stop chasing industry success. And the reason I say that is because we get into, this entertainment industry or whatever. Well, really, we start off making art, right? And then eventually, people tell us that we can either make a living from our art or, do this or do that. I remember when I first started making films, people around me would always say, like, man, you're going to be the next Spike Lee or whatever. Like, they'll send you film festivals, they'll send you links to film festivals, they'll send you like the Sundance link. And then you sort of begin to, or I would say you don't, but it's easy to begin to build your creative identity around achievement rather than creation. And so I spoke on it briefly in the last video I made, where I talked a little bit about, the achievements within, this film space. I talked about it a little bit in the last video that I made, where I talked about the achievements within this space are typically empty. And the reason I say that is because, we get into the space, we create something, and then the people around us tell us how good it is, especially if it's legit, if it goes to a bunch of festivals and things of that nature, and they say, hey, you can do this, whether it's mentors, whether it's people who work in the industry, whether it's our family and friends, you can do this and you can make it. But then you have to think to yourself, like, what is making it? For every film festival you get into, every award you win, every 40 under 40 list that you get on, every achievement, every commercial that you get, every big job that you get, every famous person that you meet, every just contract that you get, you never fully arrive. Your achievement that you do in this particular moment just leads to the next opportunity. And so when you get to a point to where that excitement wears down of achieving the things that you thought you needed to do in order to arrive at a place of fulfillment, you realize, like, oh, this is just a revolving door. It's just rotating. It's a cycle. And then I know for me personally, I realized it's like, damn, the only way to get fulfillment is just to keep creating. It's to keep creating. So no matter what achievements I am blessed to achieve, it's never over. The war is never over. It's never done. Because this isn't a game. It's not a basketball game. It's not a football game. It's not like the clock. I remember I was watching an interview with Terrace Martin. He's a music producer, and jazz musician, hip hop producer, kind of a multifaceted creative. And I think this is about 10 years ago, man. This is like when I was getting into like Kamasi Washington and all that. It was around the time Kendrick released To Pimp a Butterfly. And he was talking about basically in jazz culture, you not really shit till you 40. And, you know, that's kind of how I feel about film. I think that, you know, I feel like every year, like the vision gets better. Every year I get better. Every year I get more clear, and the work becomes more mature. Like I'm able to tell stories that I wasn't able to tell at 23 or 25 or, you know, even 30. There's stories that now I can tell, like even as a father, like writing those types of characters, it has a little bit more depth to them. Well, not even a little bit more depth, a lot more depth to them compared to when I wasn't a father. And so I say all of this to just say creating is the goal. And I'm not saying that everybody will just find fulfillment from creating, and I'm not saying that going to festivals and things of that nature and, you know, having like the big films is not helpful or is not a positive experience. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think any of these things are like a one size fits all. Like, hey, the moment I achieve this, I'm there. Nah, man, the goal is to continue to create, to continue to inspire, to continue to express, because your voice is needed, your art is needed. And, you know, the goals that we set for ourselves, particularly as it pertains to industry, those goals are, they're good, they're cool. But it's like once you go to the festival, what now? When we did my short film, Little Church, the goal was to make a short film that could thrive in this festival space. We wanted to get into at least 10 festivals and win awards. We ended up getting into, I think, 15 or 17, something like that. And I remember whenever I would go to a festival, I remember when we got our first Oscar qualifying festival, which was the Bronze Lens Film Festival in Atlanta, and flew down, went to go see the film. And I remember every time I spoke with somebody regarding the film, we only spoke about Little Church maybe for about a minute. But then after that, the focus was always, especially when it came to people who actually had the power to help me move forward in my career, the question and the conversation always went towards what's next? What do you have next? And I remember one of my mentors told me, he was a high-level executive at the time at one of the studios, and now he's a high-level executive at one of the bigger independent film companies. I remember he told me at the time, he was like, it's not good enough for you to make one. You got to come back and do it again. Because the thing is with shorts, people can just throw money at a short. Anybody can make a good short. You can get lucky and make a good short, but the real question is, can you do it again? And then they're gonna want to know what you have next. Do you have a feature version of this short? Do you have a feature? And that's when I got to sending scripts back and forth to Sony at the time, which I can make a video on that. That was just a very interesting experience and really was a sobering, although like reassuring moment in my journey as a filmmaker. So stop chasing success. Chase consistency. Chase growth. Chase creativity. Chase learning. Chase those things, as those will keep you steadfast in your practice. Where success is fleeting, like what does that mean? 15 years ago, success would mean getting a film in theaters, whereas now success could be licensing your film to a streamer, or distribution company or something like that. And then success is relative. You have some people who have that film that go to Sundance, they don't make any money from it, they're still broke, they still do this. But then you have people who are putting their films on Tubi and are making 6 figures in their first quarter. So you can't necessarily say that it's like, as long as they're doing what they want to do, then that's success to them, So again, man, I think at the end of the day, always aiming to create the best possible work that you can make is what matters most. Peace.